pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome everybody. Dan, are you there?
Yes, I am, present.
Okay.
Good.
Call the meeting to order. We've had the Pledge of Allegiance. Any announcements? Okay, then we'll go to approval of the agenda.
Chairman, I do have one item I'd like to add to the agenda at 10:15 a.m. Add Nick Bergman. He's coming down to request final payment approval for projects SAP 59-599-097 and SAP 059-063-006. So that'll be in action items. And I did hand out a copy of that to you, and I fired it off to the media yesterday as well, so I should have that. Dan, I emailed it to you yesterday as well. Do you have that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. That's what I have today, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, with that addition, anybody care to move to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Les and Chris. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Then we have the consent agenda. Any additions or anything there, Steve, that you have, or?
Mr. Chair, I'd move the consent agenda.
Okay, Luke made the motion.
Second.
Les seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes. We'll move on to Steve's ditch committee recommendation.
Mr. Chair, John Schaefer from the Ditch Committee is supposed to be rolling in any minute here now, so I just wanted him to be here for that as well.
Okay,
So if we just hold off on that just a second here
okay, we can,
until he arrives. Give you some background on it, however.
see, we have kind of an estimate or a bid or whatever it is.
Yeah, we do. We have a quote for that, and the ditch committee met, for the record and people listening, the ditch committee met on June 8th and agreed by motion to clean out an area of the ditch bounded by the 9th Street Northeast Bridge just to the south of that and approximately 200 feet east of the falls on National Monument property. The bid we received from Johnson Ditching out of Lake Wilson is $18,500, and that is option number 1, which is to clean the ditch to its original bottom, level the spoils bank on both sides, is what we're planning on doing. The city has been contacted regarding the removal of 60-plus trees in the project area within the 16.5-foot buffer on either side of the ditch. National Monument has been contacted, and a meeting was held with them to discuss the issue of cleaning the ditch on Monument property. Staff and the county attorney are researching, Monument staff and the county attorney are researching the issue to determine if the county, as the ditch authority, has the right to have work done on the ditch within the boundaries of the National Monument. I have not heard anything back from the county attorney or the monument at this point. I did hear back from the city. They discussed the issue at their utility committee, but have not taken it to the full county or city council yet for action. So that's my notes to date we have on that. So the request is going to be to the board to approve the ditch committee's recommendation to clean the ditch out as recommended. And John gets here, he'll have some background for you too on it.
Steve, this is Dan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a need to seed in the spoils once they're piled up on the side of the bank, or do we just let that go to weed? What's the normal procedure there?
The area will be leveled as much as it can, smoothed out, and then it will be planted in grass, type of grass. I don't know what kind it is, but it'll be seeded.
But that's not part of the bid, though, I don't believe. The seeding.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I'll confirm with John, but I don't think it is.
I think it might be.
You think it is, Luke?
I think it is.
Okay,
Because that's part of, you're required to do that, so.
yeah. Commissioner Johnson thinks it is part of the quote, the bid to have it done.
Good.
Regardless of who does it, it will be done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the main thing. That has to be accomplished. You can't leave it to erode back in there and put silt back into the ditch, so that will be seeded.
Yep.
Will this ditch work that we're talking about be held up until the city gets the trees out of there?
Yes.
Yes.
Come on forward if you're,
Hi, John, come on up. We're just starting chat. Yeah, have a chair. I put a copy of the bid in front of you. I just read through the request for the board action for the commissioners, and we're just having a little discussion on it now.
I guess I was just wondering about the trees that the city's gonna remove. Is that gonna be at the same time as we're cleaning the ditch or prior to that? How is that gonna coordinate? If that's
Needs to be done before
what I was
in order to get
in there.
the backhoe to get in and circulate around.
Dan Wildermuth questioned the seeding. We're not sure if the contractor does the seeding or we have to have that bid out separately.
We haven't
afterwards.
decided that yet.
Okay.
Guess the last time, I don't know who, Sharon actually had somebody seed it, but I didn't even know that it came before the ditch committee. It just happens.
So that's not part of the bid then?
Huh?
That's not part of the bid then?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
No,
I thought it might
no,
have been.
it's just, the bid would be to backhoe work.
Okay. And then is the trucking and locate fee, is that in addition to the bid on the options?
I would guess that would be in addition. I would guess those are standard fees they charge for loading up
Right?
their hole and that type of thing.
Okay. I guess I'd make a motion that we approve the ditch committee's recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
And a second. Luke and Chris seconded. Any other discussion?
Repeat the motion for me. Was it to approve the bid? Is that what the motion was?
Right.
Motion is to approve the bid. It also includes $750 trucking fee and $75 for locates. Seeding will be done separately on this.
Okay.
So the project itself is $18,500, but the trees have to be cleaned out first.
On the top, it is an estimate, so if we actually go forward, we still have to get a bid.
Steve, how much did we have budgeted for this? Do you know offhand?
$31,000 in the ditch fund.
Okay.
And all that money is assessed to the benefiters of the ditch.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
So this is not an actual bid, this is an estimate.
Yeah, that's
And will we
right
require,
under the date on top, yeah. It was,
will we require a bid before we start? Or are we gonna go with an estimate and just see how
we'll
it goes?
probably go back to them and
Get another
go with the
bid?
estimate or,
Okay.
Okay.
So we're basically approving an estimate
Yeah.
and then with the hope to go forward and actually get a bid,
hope to, yep.
if that's what our procedure would be,
And we're still contingent on getting rid of trees.
prior to being able to order
And,
the work.
The Ingbarth that gave us the estimate tells us that if you don't clean out into the monument area, it's not gonna do a whole lot of good as far as flooding. It'll remove some debris that people object to, but it's not going to do a whole lot of good. And so,
So once this is done, the narrow point will still be on the monument property.
and
The restriction, if you want to call it that, will be the bridge on Highway 75 and the monument property are still going to be the narrow points of the ditch. Is that still?
The narrow point's actually the falls itself.
Right.
always will be.
Yeah,
The
that's not.
Yeah.
going away.
limiting factor is how much rock they blew out when they put in the ditch, so that's maximum flow over that rock ledge.
Still want to clean it out, but there is going to be some limitations, just naturally because of what's still on the monument property.
No
And
question.
that's out of our control,
Correct.
so.
But the portion that's within the monument boundary was cleaned out in the 50s. So, I mean, there is precedent that it's been allowed to happen since it's been a monument. So hopefully they'll allow that to happen again.
We have a motion.
Mr. Chair, got a question when you get a second, guys.
Go ahead, Dan.
Are we ready to actually formally accept an estimate? Can we firm this up into a bid and have we, I realize it doesn't reach the same scope as our road projects, but have we advertised it and so forth, and, or do we need to do a little more legwork before we formalize this?
The estimate needs to be confirmed with Ingbarth. This does not have to be advertised. It's below $100,000. So estimates are acceptable to get, so you can get a written quote is what we're working under here.
I realize technically we do, but my question is do the other people that do this type of work, are they even aware of this? Has the word gotten out that we're looking for bidders on this?
John, can you answer that? I think you've worked with A&C Excavating,
Yeah,
another company.
we did contact one other outfit, and they have not gotten back to us. This Johnson Ditching and Ingbarth are very well known for cleaning ditches. They have the right excavator with a long arm on it, and they are our choice, but it doesn't mean that we can't put it out on bids.
Yeah, I don't want to slow down the process or anything else, and if it's kind of a specialized thing, it's not like just any excavator can do it.
That's correct.
Somebody like Doubleday does not, he'd have to lease a excavator, and I don't think he'd do it for that little length of time, or length of ditch that we have. And if you don't have the right equipment, you're not gonna be able to do the right job, so.
Yep.
Well, we have a motion and a second, but Dan, the motion is to approve the estimate. We're not approving a bid at this point.
Okay.
Is that right, Steve?
Yes.
Okay. So if there's no other discussion, I would call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes. So where do we go from here? We contact the city and say we want to do some work, get the trees out of the way? And
City has been contacted already. They know what we're moving forward with this, and they're working with us to get the trees removed.
okay.
Like I said, before you walked in, they did meet with their utility committee, but has not gone to the city council yet.
Okay.
We have had a lot of concern with the city residents on this issue, and we want to definitely get moving on it if we possibly can this year.
Yes.
If not within the month, because we
Right.
never know when another storm's going to come, so.
The question with the monument
Right.
may
We don't
turn
know
into
what's going to happen
months
there.
and
but
years
at least
before they ever,
If we can at least get our
But,
portion of it taken care of, then at least we've tried to do whatever we can, so.
we're willing to do what we need to do to improve the situation, but it's gonna be a limiting factor on the next heavy rain. And it sounds like Sunday, if we would've got that cloud burst in a bigger area, we'd probably be talking about another flood, so.
What kind of storms are out there. We could
Dumped
certainly
a lot of
see
rain in a hurry south of town, so. Keep working at it.
Okay,
I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you for coming, John.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
okay, then we have, Kathy, you got anything to bring in, or can we slip you in here for the, got a little bit of time now.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dan, I did email you what I'm going to be presenting. So,
Yes.
did you get it?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
I have 2 items for personnel-related items for the board this morning. And I'm going to start, I think, with the pay plan that I handed out, with the highlighted portion there. We did interviews for the highway maintenance superintendent position, and we did choose a top candidate for that, and an offer was made yesterday, and that's Cullen Clipper. He's our mechanic for the highway department. The offer is contingent on board approval. We looked at his current salary, tried to make sure he got at least a 5% increase for promotion, also taking into account he was gonna get a step in a couple months here as well, because he's been with us for almost a year. So I would be seeking board approval to hire Cullen Clipper as the highway maintenance superintendent at step D of the pay plan. And he will be starting, I guess, probably right away here, so we can make it effective probably next week, next Monday, so.
Mr. Chair, Kathy, are we going to need to backfill his position then?
Yes, so we will be advertising for mechanic again here, so,
Fun, all right.
yeah. Yep.
Well, Mr. Chair, I'll move for approval.
Okay.
I'll second.
Chris made the motion, Les seconded. Any other discussion?
Dan, did you get all that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. The next item I have is Ed Skolton has given us notice that he plans to retire on October 5th of this year. So I would be seeking approval of his resignation for retirement as of that date, and then probably in a separate motion, I'm going to go through the revised job description here, so.
Move for approval.
Second.
Luke and Les seconded. Any other discussion? This is for the accept his resignation.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
What was the date on that, Kathy?
October 5th.
Thank you.
And then, so we did kind of have some discussions on the position with Keith and Mike and Ed as well. We went through the job description and they thought it looked good and pretty much covered everything. This was updated in 2015. I did hand out a revised job description with a couple changes, so they would really like to see, even though this is a non-union position, it's a non-union supervisory position, a 1-year probationary period to match up with the rest of their department. So we'd be switching that to a 1-year probationary period for this position. And also, they would like to see somebody with a post license. It gives them a little bit of options to maybe put some more duties on the jail administrator, such as bailiff duties or possibly part-time deputy work. And it would give him, you know, him or her the power of arrest. But that being said, we don't want to limit our candidate pool, and there could be a very good candidate that is not post-licensed for this position. So it's just a preference at this point. It would not be a requirement. Any questions on the job description or?
We need a motion to approve the job description with the corrections or changes that you
Correct.
recommended. Okay.
Yep.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Chris seconded. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes.
All right. That's all I had,
Okay,
unless you have
thank
anything else for
Kathy.
me.
Anything,
All right.
other questions for Kathy, or?
Nothing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then we have NACO committee assignments. That's something you can explain to us, Steve?
Yeah, Commissioner Johnson requested this be on the agenda as, it's a non-travel, or he mentions it's not anything costly, but there are NACO events that to now, I don't think we have any, there's nothing on our committees that show anyone on any NACO committees or anything like that. And, I don't know, Luke, you wanna-
Sure, at the AMC board, they just mentioned that this year, because of all the meetings being virtual, obviously they're not traveling, and they just were recommending that, counties that maybe haven't been involved with NACO, but if you just wanted to check it out, they have 2 virtual meetings on the 13th and 20th of July. There's no fee to register, and obviously you're not traveling, so there's no travel costs or anything. But it would give you a chance to see, kind of what's going on, and I just thought if there's a time when we might want to know a little bit more about what's happening on a federal level, this might be one of those times because of everything that's going on. And it's open to, all commissioners can check it out. They just said that you do have to designate a voting delegate for your county, though, for whatever items need to be voted on.
Couldn't this just connect with SRDC? Southwest Regional Development?
Not really. We're all NACO members,
Right.
just like we are AMC. It's just, trying to get stuff done federally versus the state.
The dates again?
July 13th at 3 PM and July 20th at 1 PM.
I guess, Mr. Chair, I'd like to clarify as far as Luke mentioned, there's no travel expenses because it's a virtual meeting. But are we also considering, I guess I wouldn't be comfortable charging a per diem for a virtual meeting for this, and also making sure that in the future that if after the virus is done, that we don't get involved with being committed to travel to it. I don't mind being informed, but at the same time, I don't think that the NACO level really has enough benefit for us to justify any out-of-pocket expense from Pipestone County. What was the intent as far as per diems on it, I guess is my question.
If this were going to be added to the committee list, it would be a per diem event.
But yeah, we're not seeking any future travel or anything like that, because I don't want to.
How often do they meet, do you know?
Typically, I think they just have these couple meetings a year. I mean, as far as anything we'd be interested in. If, for those that are involved on a NACO committee, they probably meet and travel and all that good stuff, but that's not what we're seeking.
I guess my feeling is we're involved with enough committees and meetings and stuff locally here and statewide in our area. I don't see the need to get any further out than that personally, but a lot of the stuff at the SRDC too is stuff that you can talk about all you want to, but it doesn't happen down here anyway, so I don't know.
Bruce, could you repeat that? I couldn't quite hear you, Bruce.
I guess I personally don't see the need for it, but that's just my feeling. I don't think we're going to benefit much from it, and it's just one more meeting to add to the list of things to go to. And but I'm only one person, so whatever, if you wish to do it.
I guess just another side comment. We talk about the AMC list of things that are approved for per diems. This blue ribbon panel thing that I've been sitting on, we've been meeting twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week on that, but it's virtual, and I don't feel it's correct, and I'm not charging per diems for that at all. So I guess the only way I can see us being involved in this NACO thing is we followed that same example, and I know that was my own personal choice, and that is to not charge per diems for this.
Well, maybe before the next year comes around, and there'll be possibly some different faces here too on the board, maybe we should look at that whole list again and decide what is pertinent and what we should be involved in and what we don't have to be involved in. And do we need two people on this committee and on that committee and all that stuff like that? I mean, you know, like, maybe we got to look at that, because it does cost us a lot of money going to meetings, and if they're necessary, that's fine. If they're just non-productive, there's no point in continuing with them.
Mr. Chair, I have no proof of this, but I believe we're going to see more and more virtual meetings and travel
Yeah, probably
meetings.
will.
And even after this, I think the value is being found in that, and the technology is there for it. I think it may cut down on our travel.
I had a meeting this past week with the Plum Creek Library System, just as an example, and it was about 20 minutes of financial reports and blah, 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 and that's about it. Well, I don't feel right by charging per diem for that meeting, because it didn't amount to anything. I didn't gain much from it. It just, you sit there and listen to it for a few minutes, and that's the end of it. So personally, I think of some of that stuff it's okay, but, yeah, it's just something you're involved in, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to charge for everything you do either. But, I don't know. What's your wishes?
This whole virtual aspect makes me question, you know, what we're doing with per diems and stuff too, because I think the intent of the per diem was for traveling, you know, to cover you for the day. But when you're sitting at home in your living room,
Home for a half hour and look at your computer for a half hour, is that worth $100 per
that's,
diem or not?
I don't know. That's,
It's kind of like our hospital, that we're getting off the subject here, but we have a little time. It's kind of like our hospital updates every Friday. I certainly have been charging per diem for those. I don't know about the rest of the board, but it's kind of hard to charge $100 just to sit in front of your computer for a little bit and listen to Brad tell us the updates on the COVID virus. So, you know, that's just my...
Mr. Chair, I thought that we had clarified that when we started those weekly updates, that was not per diem. Did we talk about that?
I know you had said you were not charging it, Dan, but I don't know that we ever established any kind of a agreement about it or a policy or anything.
Did not.
no,
I think we did at that point, but
just discussion.
I haven't been charging for them. I guess it's just a courtesy to stay informed.
I guess the regular board meetings, I can understand that, but these other ones, I don't.
I mean, you can't expect people to, frankly, take time away from whatever they normally have to do to work to do whatever, you know. Maybe it's different if you're retired, but
Well, last month we had 5 COVID updates with that medical center. And if all the commissioners charged per diem, that'd be $2,500 for just listening for a half hour to a report. And I guess I don't see that as being, if that's the case, we should limit the meetings then, because it's not worth that at this point, but to me, but.
and maybe we do need to cut them back.
But anyway, that's another subject. What do we want to do about the NACO thing? Forward with it, forget about it?
I guess it was just being recommended as an opportunity to check out what they're doing in a way that, you know, wouldn't cost much, because obviously we're not normally going to travel to some event out of state or whatever. Nobody thinks it's important, then that's fine, but it would seem like a logical way to, you know, find out something about something that I'm sure we're paying to be involved with, even though we're not participating. I'm assuming, isn't there an annual fee for NACO, just like AMC?
We don't pay into NACO.
Or we
to my
don't pay into
knowledge.
anything.
I don't believe, I don't recall any
Okay, maybe
vouchers
not.
coming through for NACO.
Or maybe that comes as part of your AMC membership?
does, I don't know. exactly on that, but I don't, I know there are a lot of counties that do belong to NACO and do pay dues.
Well, Doug Nagel's son Joe, I forget which county he's a commissioner in, I know he's on the NACO board too. Because he's encouraged me to get involved with
So
it.
is Bob Fox from Renville.
Yep.
and-
And not every county that's, belongs to NACO is obviously a large county either.
Right.
About that, I mean, Renville County is not much larger than Pipestone. and
Exactly.
Chosen to be involved in it as well. Again, it's a board decision to be involved in it or not.
I guess I'm open to try it out for the remainder of the year and then maybe
I mean, you know,
reevaluate.
because like I say, we're not looking for any travel or any of that stuff.
Like going to Washington DC,
Exactly.
like previously they would, so.
I would say just check it out on the 13th and the 20th and see what comes out of it.
Right.
The next year we can evaluate if we really need to get involved, you know, annually or whatever.
Okay, you want to just leave it at that for now and get back later if
Does
we
the
want?
board want to authorize per diem for those two meetings?
Okay.
So Commissioner Johnson, I guess, is where we're at.
I guess considering it's only 2 meetings for the year, I guess, under that stipulation, I'll move to approve it.
Thank you.
Do we need to have them at both the 13th and the 20th to get the feeling of what's going on?
Yeah, it's two different, I mean, one, they basically are going over the policy items, and then they give you a week to think about if you want to approve them or not, and then you have a chance a week later to vote to approve whatever.
But as far as we're concerned, we'd just be kind of listening in, we wouldn't be actively voting or nothing.
Whoever's your designated delegate can vote. Anyone can listen in.
So we have a motion on the floor. We don't have a second yet.
I would second, I guess.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Aye. I think we got enough lobbyists, enough junk going on, we don't need to add to it, but that's just my opinion. Anything else we can bring up at this point? Otherwise, we might want to recess till 10:15. Does that seem,
That's fine. I can give a little
Got
bit
something
of a, before we go into recess,
Okay.
give you a little bit of AMC update, what was going on last week. Going through the AMC, the legislative session adjourned without really taking care of much, unfortunately. Saturday morning, basically, I'll read through it. The Capitol went dark, figurative, literally, last evening as House and Senate leadership spent the entire evening negotiating with the governor's office to trying but ultimately failing to reach agreement on several big-ticket policy spending items. Their efforts stopped at 6 a.m. Saturday morning when the Senate adjourned sine die, leaving the House alone without a companion body to move anything off their desks. The end to this session has been particularly frustrating for county and local governments who are anticipating legislative action on critical CARES Act funding. While legislators have alluded to a potential second special session in late June, it is unclear if Governor Walz will call it, under what circumstances, and to consider which items. This is from AMC is what I'm reading from here. While Governor Walz has expressed a willingness to get the funds out using executive authority, it is unclear what formula he will use or how much of the $841 million agreement he would honor. AMC staff will continue to work on the issue and ask that counties contact Matt Hilgert for up-to-date information. Other things, so the CARES Act failed. That would have brought in over $1 million into Pipestone County that would have been split up amongst different townships and cities, over 200 population, for any expenses they would have on CARES through COVID. It would also help us to do reimbursements to Southwest Health and Human Services for a large amount of costs that they have taken in over COVID too. So it certainly would have helped our 6-county organization to help get some funding back to them. So as it sits right now, nothing went out. So, and there are lots of things that could have been used for our $20,000+. We could have used that to ask for reimbursement for those expenses for our plexiglass, all our chemicals, our sprays, our masks, all that stuff. We'd be able to do that. Plus, there are efforts in there too to provide funding for businesses and public for those affected by COVID. You know, there could have been money set up for that, and maybe this will still come forward, we'll see on that, but we'll see how that comes out in July. The criminal and justice reform failed as well, the bonding bill failed, so this is 2 sessions in a row, we don't have a bonding bill, so nothing's going on, that's hurting infrastructure, wetlands, road and bridge, a myriad of things that were in the bonding bill. You know, just over, I think they were up to just over $1 billion, weren't they, in a bonding bill, 1.1, 1.2, somewhere in there. Broadband failed as well, so no money on that, which is unfortunate too. The positive note they mentioned here is the AMC Blue Ribbon work, which is the committee that Dan is sitting on. They did get the Health and Human Services waivers passed out of the House and Senate, and the governor did sign that, or will sign that. So that helped Health and Human Services side, granting 60-day extensions on all human service waivers beyond the end of the peacetime emergency, which we're still in, which was, sent another 30 days forward. So some things did happen, a couple of things, but by and large, it was a bust.
Pretty much.
Unfortunately, so, but we'll see if they come back into session later on. So, if you
Steve, if I could add to that, Steve.
Sure, go ahead.
Human Services, there were 2 exceptions to the waivers for Human Services. They did rule out the 2 about child welfare, the child endangerment. So those they will have to make face-to-face contacts with. They did not get the extension on those.
Okay, good, thank you.
And the other item too, in regards to the CARES Act, one of the other items we've been looking at is our court systems in order to maintain social distance in our court. If we were to have a jury trial, and depending on whether it's a misdemeanor or whether it's a gross misdemeanor or felony, you might have to have 12 jurors for a felony and a gross misdemeanor, 12 jurors and 12 alternates. So you look at our courtroom upstairs, the amount of social distancing space you need for that many people, it's not possible. So that's one of the main charges that we've got with this group, is figuring out how to make this work. But going back to the CARES money, that has been the what I refer to as the white elephant in the room. Who's paying for this? And they're kicking that around, saying, well, the counties will pay for it, and then they can apply for CARES Act money for it afterwards. And that's not really going to be all that equitable. For one thing, this CARES Act money is being distributed on a per capita basis to the counties. So that is still something that's being discussed quite extensively.
Well, the other issue with courts, as we've talked about too, is we only have so many square feet in the building to have court. And what we have is what we have, and we can put up panels and things like that, but if you're talking that many people and trying to maintain social distancing, that's a whole nother issue.
Exactly. That's been part of this discussion statewide, the same situation. So they're looking at having to go out and rent other spaces. They talk, well, maybe schools might have auditoriums that would be big enough and so forth, but that's not a permanent solution, because once school starts, that's not going to be viable for us either. So no, it's quite a problem to come up with a reasonable solution to.
Right. And the other part about moving that, I noticed on your committee, is that you move it to another location, you don't necessarily have the technology that the court system needs to have that trial in another facility. So how do you accommodate the video and the audio where you need it to be there if you're not in your own home per se? So
currently it's been very commonplace to do like what we've been doing, and our technologies people have been providing this for the courts. Well, now if you're going to go through all the expense moving off location, that's going to be a lot more involvement. So again, who's paying for this?
correct.
We have a lot of security issues too in a different facility.
Yeah.
Well, we may not have to worry about it if we don't have a need for it. We'll just have to wait and see. And at some point, people are going to get back to normal here, and we'll have our lives back, and we won't be worried about all this stuff. I think we're getting close to that now, personally, but anyway, deal with it as it comes. And
Right. Luke, did you have anything else to add to the
Nope.
AMC information that we got to on any of the bills or anything you were?
Just the same frustration that everyone else is feeling.
Yep.
You know, they were there twice and couldn't get it done.
Did everybody see Bill Weber's last email
No, I
about the
didn't.
governor and his frustration with the state government? Did you see it?
I did not.
Oh, he wrote quite a long, I'll have to see if I can.
Been on his email list before,
Yeah,
but I haven't seen anything
don't know
lately. I
why
haven't
I
seen
got
anything
it.
from
Y'all
Schumacher
should have
either.
got it. I'm gonna check with my wife. I'll call her once and see if she can send it forward.
Yeah,
He
you gotta
wrote
forward it.
quite a letter regarding his frustration with the state and the governor.
Yep.
Did you see it, Les?
I've read
It was just last week.
Yeah, I've read some others and
But anyway,
So
that's-
especially when the Senate passed that CARES Act deal, like 66-4 or 62-4 or something.
Yeah.
And then they send it to the House and they add on all this other stuff and
yeah,
then they can't get it done, of course. And yeah, they should have just taken it up as it was and.
just a repeat of Washington.
Mhm.
Can't agree.
Jill, did you get anything from Weber to
I
print?
didn't, but I
Huh?
saw a Facebook video, I think.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I did not get and
Okay.
usually I do.
Okay, I'll check with her and maybe forward it to you if I can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually do too, but I didn't see anything.
Anything else to talk about, or shall we pause the meeting and re-adjourn at 10:15? We have,
Okay, we're on.
okay, we're back in session, and Nick is here to talk about some final payment for some culverts.
Yep, this was some box culvert work we had done last year. We just got the contracts back yesterday, signed by the contractor. The original contract amount, or maybe I'll read off the project numbers. These were project numbers SAP 059-599-097 and SAP 059-603-006. The last one there was on our County Road 3 by Murray County that was posted, and the first one I read off was the one around Indian Lakes there. The original contract amount was $778,313. Final contract amount was $787,627. In that $9,000 overage, all the items are off a little bit. We draw perfect lines on papers when we make our plans, but in reality, things aren't quite that smooth. But the two major items were the riprap, that was about $5,800 over. We salvage and reuse whatever we can off the old structure. And then the majority of this one was actually out by Indian Lakes. If you recall, there's those rock riffles out there that make the dam, so it took some extra to get that shape back in how it needed to be. Then the other major item was had some hydro mulching for $3,400. Last fall it was cold and wet, and when they went to do the seeding, it was just too wet to work the dirt the way it needed to be worked, and then you couldn't run a drill through it either, so we had to hydro mulch it, which means we mix the seed in with like a tackifier that and just kind of spray it on top. So
Do you have the equipment to do that?
no, we have to hire that. We contract that out, yeah. So those were the main items to account for that overage there. So the final payment amount is $7,876.27.
Mr. Chair, move for approval.
Okay, Chris made the motion to approve.
Second.
Les seconded. Any other discussion?
Dan, any questions?
Nope, no questions.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
That's all I have till the bid opening at 10:30.
Okay, we have
While we got a minute with Nick, you'd mentioned Indian Lakes. Can you give us a little update? I understand it's going pretty well out there.
Yeah, well, right, they've got most of the gravel surfacing down, the pipe work's done. We ran into some unusable soils, so there's gonna be a change order for that. We're gonna need some more gravel out there. They've already done that work, but that happened to us on the first segment of that job as well. We ran into some poor soils and had to
Yeah.
do a little extra work for that. So I'm not too surprised it happened here, but either way.
How about the ledge rock? Was any surprises with the ledge out there?
No, that went smoother than I thought. so I've never dealt with that before, but we didn't really hit much of that at all. So that's good. Well, yet anyway.
Mr. Chair, Nick, did you guys get that tile run down the center of that then too, or didn't you need to?
We have an edge drain tile that was run on like the edge of it, and then we did get that rock installed down the center of it, and that has an outlet tile at the bottom of it.
Okay.
So that's installed.
All right, good.
And then I guess where we're at our County Road 13 project, that was probably a day or two from being done with the dirt work when we got hit with the rain, so that'll be soon too. That's mostly done, so that's good.
The little culvert work or the box culverts at Hatfield there, west of Hatfield, will that be paved over or patched in sometime in the future, or?
We will, typically, we've been letting those settle out over a winter. Seems like when they go through a freeze thaw.
Plan to do it this summer then, sounds like, or?
When they do the paving, we'll ask for a price, and if it's out of this world because they don't want to do it, we'll just throw it in with an overlay next year, force them to bid it that way. But if we get a good number, we could consider that.
Are you gonna hopefully overlay that road next year from Hatfield up to 30?
I'd have to look. It's in the 5-year plan. I don't remember what year. Been hearing different numbers from the state on like budget reductions, so I haven't. It's tough to make a 5-year,
Right.
put a whole lot of plan or time into the 5-year plan right now, and I don't know what's going to happen for funding. Everything's going to slide around so bad. So
Yeah.
So I might just take a shot at it here, and get that approved in the near future, but that's going to be really volatile, I think.
Does that road need an overlay or just a
Yeah.
seal coat? It doesn't
No,
need an
it's on
overlay.
it's in the 5-year plan. I'm pretty sure it's in the 5-year plan for an actual overlay. That County Road 18, that might be something we might need to force some bituminous on, because there's just so much traffic on that road.
There's a lot
I
of
don't
traffic
know if
there, and
we-
it is really good road with those wide ditches and stuff. It really is we want to maintain it too, I'm sure, to, keep it from deteriorating, but.
Yeah, it takes extra work to, take care of those gravel patches, but I kind of like how they, when they go through a freeze thaw, they just seem to, the patches seem to be less of a bump then.
Is there any thought about that curve on the bridge south of Edgerton there, going around the curve right at the Rock County line, about maybe milling those bumps off or anything, or?
Yeah, I did talk with Doug. We might just try to overlay onto the deck a little bit, because it's like those slabs have settled.
It's uneven and
Yeah.
it's been damaged from flooding and there's a
Yeah.
lot of things there, but it's right in the curve and people hit it and then they
Yeah.
bounce around and they.
No, I drove it after you told me about it the first time, and I talked with Doug about
And
it.
it's okay if they slow down, but a lot of times they don't.
They don't, yeah.
If you don't slow down, you jump over about 3 feet real quick.
I had one guy ask me if the county was gonna pay for the realignment of his pickup because he hit it.
Oh,
I said, I don't think so.
probably we haven't yet, so I won't start that.
Well, we've got about 10 minutes before we can have the bid opening. I don't know if there's any other questions or anything else you want to talk about, or we want to just go on a 10-minute break, or?
Can do that.
I suppose. Okay. We'll be back at 10:30. Back in session. And Dan, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right, we're going to open some bids now, so.
All right, nothing else showed up at the highway department or at the auditor's office, so we've got one bid. That bid is from BioAg Energy Services. And this is for our fuel needs for July through December of this year.
Dan, can you hear okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good.
Okay, for gasoline, price for July 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020 is $1.751 per gallon, so $1.751 per gallon. The margin would be 47.4 cents per gallon, so 0.474 per gallon. Moving on, diesel fuel. The B5 price for the Pipestone shop location would be 1.609 per gallon. 1.609. B20 be 1.569 per gallon. 1.569. B5 for the outlying shops would be 1.749 per gallon. 1.749. B20 for the outlying shops would be 1.709. 1.709 per gallon. The margin for the Pipestone shop would be 0.122 per gallon. So it's 12.2 cents per gallon. And the margin for the outlying shops would be 0.260. 0.262, excuse me, 0.262 per gallon. And that is the only bid we received this year, today for this part of the year. I think I drove by the pumps on the way in and it was $2.09 per gallon for gas and $2.21 for diesel. So
It's a decent bid for the times.
yeah, I think it's an
Could
acceptable
go up or down
bid,
at
but-
this point too, we don't.
Yeah. So I'd probably recommend awarding the bid if you guys feel that way too. So.
I'm okay with it. Okay, Les made a motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second.
Well, Luke already second, Dan, so.
Okay,
Okay,
good
we have
enough.
a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, all in, motion passes.
All right.
Thank you, Nick.
Yep, that's all I had for today unless anybody else has anything.
Anything else, have any questions for Nick or any concerns or?
Are you gonna patch that spot on County 8? Is that set through the winter?
Yep. That'll be one of the other ones. We got a few of those we're gonna get quotes on. County Road 3 is one as well.
Sure.
They give us a decent enough price. We'll probably look at doing some of those this year. Otherwise, what we've done in the past, and it seems to have worked well, we'll include those in an overlay project, and then they're kind of forced to bid it instead of, just,
Right.
I think we saved quite a bit of money doing that, so.
Sure.
So we'll see what they say for a quote. Otherwise, we'll just throw it in with our bids next year, and we'll get a better price yet then, so.
Sounds good.
Okay, anything else to come before the board? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Motion?
So move.
Chris made a motion. I'll second it.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, we adjourn.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Yep,
you.
take
See
care,
you,
Dan. See ya.